accountability. If you or someone you know has been forced out of federal employment due to the mass firings, please contact us at info@smileyAudiomedia.com or via the open mic feature on the KBLA 1580 app. We want to hear from you and share your story. KBLA Talk 1580, we've got your black.
See, man, I ain't tripping off none of my homeboys. And I ain't tripping off none of her girlfriends.
Don't trip, Raphael.
Because I can't do that. We're going to be together. We're going to do this.
Get up.
No, we can do this.
Just me and you, baby. Just me and you. Just the two. Just me and you. Ooh, baby. Ooh.
Welcome in. Happy Friday. You know, Friday nights always bring the heat, and tonight's not going to be an exception. You are locked in with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580, where we bring you the most relevant entertainment headlines of the day and trending topics. Of course, that was It's Just Me and You. I believe that was from, is that from the Boys in the Hood soundtrack? Boys in the Hood soundtrack. That is Tony, Tony, Tony. And if you have not heard, we mentioned earlier in the week sending prayers out to Dwayne Wiggins, but he did succumb to bladder cancer. And we want to send prayers out to his family, his friends, his group mates. You know, Tony, Tony, Tony just went on tour last year. Supposedly, allegedly, that tour was them giving him his swan song, and all the proceeds from that tour they gave to him as he was battling this. It is said that Raphael, and forgive me, I just blanked on the other group member's name, went to see him this week while he was in hospice and got to spend some time with him and say their goodbyes. So once again, you know, rest in peace to Dwayne Wiggins of Tony, Tony, Tony. So, Andy.
It's just sad. It seems like every day we losing somebody.
Yeah, I mean, really.
Like, here, we get a break. Like, just chill. We need y'all alive.
It's so much history, so much, you know, stories, iconic moments, just a moment in the sun that we're going to miss. So, we're going to get into these trending topics and headlines because they are burning up. StephenASmith, you know, he's out here securing bags and getting confronted at Crypto Arena. LeBron James had something to say to Stephen A. last night, and it didn't look great, right? So we're going to get into what LeBron said, what Stephen A. has to say, and your thoughts and opinions about it. Also, you know, there's always a new update to the Diddy situation, and it continues to get uglier. There are more charges that have been added to his indictment. We'll get into what those are. And also, Gabrielle Union, she took some heat. I think it's been about 2 years ago now, when she mentioned that in her marriage, she wants everything 50-50. And people were talking mess. They were complaining. They were giving her the drama, the fever. But she's had a change of heart. So we're going to get into why she changed her mind and what she has to say about that. Plus, I caught up with the cast of Power Book 3, Raising Kanan. And you know there's always drama with that show. It kicks off tonight, episode 1 of season 4. So we're going to get into some interviews with the cast. And we will get into those details a little bit later. But you know, before I get into those trending topics and headlines, I got a couple of conversation starters for you. Money Mace. Mace is dropping a new album. He has new music coming. It's coming this May. Now, Mace said the new album is dropping May 25th, but that's a Sunday. He also said that his album was dropping the day of Diddy's trial, which is May 5th. So sometime in May, we are getting new music from Mace. He said that Cameron is selecting the cuts that are going to go on there to make sure that it's heat. And I'm curious to see what Mace is going to bring this time around. You know, different era, different time. Mace has a good voice. Mace has a good flow. He might come with something. So we'll see. And also, as Wendy Williams continues to fight for her freedom in her guardianship, she's tapped A$AP Rocky's former lawyer that just got him off to help her battle it out. The new attorney says murderers have more freedom. We'll see what's going on here. He said he talked to her, and we'll see if he ends up taking the case and what develops with that. When we come forward, we're going to get into this LeBron and Stephen A thing and get your thoughts and opinions on it. All of that on the other side. You're locked in with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
You're riding with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
Sherry Shepherd here to talk about Black health. You know what I love about us? Everything. From science to the arts, we are leading the way. But we are falling behind in getting vaccinated. Pneumococcal vaccination rates are lower among Black adults than white adults. If you're 50 or older, you're at a greater risk of getting pneumococcal pneumonia. And the CDC recommends vaccination. If you're 19 or older with diabetes like me, you're also at increased risk. Let's continue owning our own healthcare and leading the way in vaccination rates too. Learn more and schedule at vaxassist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Gain Super Flings are here to take your laundry to the next level.
Talking about Gain Super Flings. Super size laundry packs. These things are huge. Super fresh, super clean. Gain Super Flings.
Gain Super Flings laundry packs have 4 times the Oxy cleaning power and 3 times the Febreze freshness versus Gain Original Liquid.
Super fresh, super clean. Gain Super Flings.
Gain Super Flings for next level laundry.
If you're living with dry age-related macular degeneration or dry AMD, you may be at risk for developing geographic atrophy or GA. GA can be unpredictable and progress rapidly, leading to irreversible vision loss. Now there's something you can do to
slow it down and get it going slower.
Izervay is proven to slow GA progression.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Izervay or avacincaptad pagel is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Visit Izervay.com. That's IZERVAY.com.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
Imagine a Los Angeles where everyone can thrive, where communities have access to the resources they need to succeed. That's the vision of Detours Mentoring Group, Inc. They're dedicated to improving life in LA County by providing educational support, employment assistance, and spaces for community engagement. By 2050, they want LA to be the best place to connect, create, learn, live, and play. They're working toward an education system that's well-resourced and culturally responsive, becoming a hub for artists and innovators, and making sure everyone has access to healthy food, quality healthcare, and safe housing. It's about building a future where we all have the chance to succeed. We invite you to learn more about their mission and get involved with Detours Mentoring Group, Inc. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Now back to more entertainment news with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
Welcome back in with Jill Munroe and your entertainment news update here on KBLA Talk 1580. Now, of course, if at any point you want to get in on this conversation, 800-920-1580. Hit us up on all social media, KBLA 1580. I'm at Stiletto Jill. And, you know, we can chat about it. So last night was busy for LeBron, just a tad. First of all, shout out to that Lakers win. You see, if you're on YouTube, you see me representing, right? You see me representing. Shout out to JJ Redick, too, because he did some things last night that showed, you know, where he can go, where the future looks like. But that's a side conversation. That's not what we're here to talk about tonight. So LeBron had a night last night, right? Fresh off the Lakers win, crypto, against the New York Knicks. he made sure Stephen A. Smith felt a little pressure, just a tad, over his comments about Bronny James. Now, the video went viral, and if you've seen it, you can check it out on any of your local blogs. It is everywhere. And it is a very intense looking confrontation. And Stephen A. doesn't look to be saying much of anything. LeBron looks to be the one having the conversation. And so as this video went viral, Stephen A. said he was forced to discuss it publicly because he had no plans of doing so. And he talked about it this morning on First Take. So let's hear a little bit of what he had to say on First Take.
That was LeBron James coming up to me, unexpectedly, I might add, to confront me about making sure that I mind what I say about his son. Can't repeat the words because they ain't suited for FCC airwaves. That's what he was doing. I thought long and hard about this over the last few hours because I had no intentions, Molly, of talking about this at all.
Yeah.
And the reason why is because it was a one-on-one, I wouldn't say a conversation, but it was a one-on-one confrontation. But then I wake up and everybody from ESPN and my agent and everybody else were sending me that this thing had gone viral. And so ultimately it was unavoidable, and that is why I have to discuss it now.
So he went on from there to kind of explain a little bit as to what LeBron said. He went into more detail on his show on YouTube, the Stephen A. Smith Show. And essentially he said that LeBron was like, that's my effing son. That's my son. Watch what you say. That's my effing son. Right? And I hear you, LeBron. That is your son, your namesake, your junior. Bronny, in the recent past, has gone through some things, life-threatening, life-changing things, and now he's in the league as a grown man. And, let's just go back a bit and revisit what Stephen A. said, right? Not the exact note, but essentially what he said was Bronny wasn't NBA ready and needed more development. He wasn't the first person to say it. Bronny was the 55th pick, may I remind you, in the NBA draft. 55. And honestly, I don't feel that Stephen A. was disrespectful. But it's Stephen A., the premier voice in sports, and I know that hits a little differently than Joe Blow blogger or, somebody in the chats, correct? However, in saying that, Stephen A. also mentioned that Draymond Green has been giving him the cool look, not talking to him, not messing with him, probably at the direction of Clutch. He also indicated that LeBron's camp allegedly asked him to cool it in the conversation. Stephen A. didn't. He said that he respects LeBron's position as a father, and he said that the man that came to him wasn't LeBron James, NBA star. It was a father coming about his son. So while he understands his position as a father, he's not backing off his opinion. Nor should he, because that is what he is paid to do. And once again, it has all been, and let me be clear, there are a lot of things that I do not agree with Stephen A. Smith with. But I like Stephen A. Smith, and he's a trailblazer, right? And ultimately, when we come down to it, no matter how you feel, his job is to discuss the product that is on the court. And it's so interesting to me. I've mentioned this before. Now that so many athletes are in the podcast game, they're now on the other side of it. And they're feeling it. They're getting these phone calls and they're trying to explain themselves. And as they talk about the authenticity, because they were there in the locker room with other people who may not see it the same way you do, who may not want it out in the public, no matter what the story is, true or false. You are now media and dealing with what comes along with it. So I hope in some of these moments, this is just a side, the athletes that are now potting, because there are some current athletes that are potting, you know, Draymond Green, who else has one? We know Podcast Pete stopped his. There's quite a few.
Darius Miles, Q Rich.
No. I mean current players.
Current.
Yeah, there's a ton that are doing their own thing.
Micah Parsons. I know that's football, but him.
There's a ton that are currently.
Kelsey brothers.
Yeah, that are potting. And so you're in a different space. And just like they're just having conversation, by they, I'm talking journalists, media, reporters, traditional ones, and discussing it. Just like you feel that their words have impact and could affect your money, do you not think that these former athletes, do you not think your words travel in the same way? Or is it just having a conversation about what is being presented and how certain people take it is out of our scope? You know, I could understand if he was outright trashing Bronny, but he is saying something that several other people have said and alluded to. We've seen Bronny make trips down to the G League. We know he is in progress. He is in development. He's not where he is going to be yet. But just like LeBron had to learn to take those bumps and bruises as a young player in the league and build up his mental strength for that, Bronny has to be allowed that same experience. And your pops going out and bullying the media or whomever isn't a good look for a grown man who earned his own NBA contract and is growing as a person. It just looks crazy, right? It does. And, you know, Stephen A. mentioned that Maverick Carter, Rich Paul, and LeBron James all have access to his phone number, and that LeBron could have chosen to call him and have this conversation, but, you know, he wanted to do it face-to-face on a nationally televised game. So to me, one, that says LeBron knows what he's doing. It was meant to send a message, a certain type of message. We don't see LeBron lose his cool. Not that he really did, but we don't see LeBron act out in that manner often. So to me, that was very strategic. It was meant to send a message, and it seems like it did. I don't know if it is going to have the impact that he was looking for, but it definitely sent a message. Stephen A. said that people have commented that he looks sad, and he does. I'm telling you, go look at the video from First Take or go check out what he said on his podcast, on his YouTube channel. He definitely looks like his feelings were hurt. I'm kind of curious if LeBron said a little bit more than even what he revealed, but that's, you know, a minor detail. The fact remains that Stephen A. said he is sad and, you know, he's a little disappointed. Morris Phillips in the chat says, can you say nepotism? DJ Black 909 says, people saying Bronny a grown man as if they weren't in college. I'm going to correct your grammar. At 19, calling their parents for advice or help. That's not the point, though. Here's the thing. You can call your parents for advice and help. But if you fail, could your parents call your professor and say, yo, my kid was having a really hard time adjusting this season, and I need you to back up off them? Would that have made anything better? Would that have changed the professor's mind about it? Probably not. So it's not the fact that people don't look to their parents. Bronny's not 19, by the way. He's a little older than that. But it is the fact that repeatedly we have also been told that Bronny earned this opportunity. I'm not saying he didn't, but that narrative has been pushed out and assured, right? So, like any other player in the league, when Ja Morant's dad, T. Morant, was out there wilding out, what did we say? Hey, he needs to keep cool. He needs to get in his place as a parent and sit down. As a parent. So, LeVar Ball, I was one of them. Hey, chill out. Let your kids handle their professional selves. Let me ask you this. Right now, today, and or even at 19 years old, let's say you were working at Foot Locker, whatever, McDonald's on fries, whatever the case may be. If you had a problem with a coworker, could you call your mom or dad and have them come up there and talk to your manager and explain the situation to them? You could not. So, once again, I am not begrudging LeBron being a dad. I'm not saying he can't feel a type of way. I'm not even saying he can't send a kite out to say, yo, I would like you to be a little bit easier. But at the same time, a grown man in a professional man's league playing a sport, being critiqued on his play is fair game. And I know that's your son, but I really think you got to let Bronny develop as a man. And you fighting his battle in that way, even well-intentioned, is, I don't know. I can't think that Bronny also is feeling good like, yeah, my daddy handled it. Do you know what I'm saying? I feel like it also makes Bronny look like more of a child, and he's an adult. And so I just feel as though I'm not mad that you reached out. I'm not mad that you wanted to have the conversation, but knowing how LeBron James moved, he wasn't just so caught up with emotion he couldn't help himself and had to get that out to Stephen A. He wanted to do it in such a fashion for a reason. Andy?
Man, where do I begin? Jill, you did your thug thizzle on that one. Man, LeBron James is a prideful man who's also a sensitive man, right? And I think he's always been on a campaign to control the narrative, right? I think that's one of the reasons why Undisputed or something like that, or The Shop came about.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? He wanted to kind of, push back on a lot of the narratives that spoke about him, right? I want to give a shout out to Ari Spears. He posted something about this where he was talking about how LeBron James is a hypocrite. Talk about earlier in LeBron's career when he was with Cleveland, and I forgot who the team that he was playing against, but there was like some sort of scuffle behind the backboard, right? Mm-hmm. And LeBron James' mom happened to be right there, right? And you could see LeBron James like mouth off to his mom, like, fall back.
I remember that.
You know
I remember that. Yep.
And I feel like this is a prime example of like LeBron. First off, the only reason why you're reacting this way is because of how much you've advocated and campaigned to have your son Bronny in this league. First off, I don't think he was worth it to be a McDonald All-American. USC, I'm sure they did him a favor. You know what I mean? But he definitely could have spent a couple more years in college. So to fast track your son to the league, and then now you want to go ahead and silence folks. He's a professional athlete now. Like you said, it's fair game. LeBron James, like, chill out. You know what I'm saying? I know you sent the clutch thing to StephenASmith. That weird comment that he made was about StephenASmith.
What weird? Oh, you
remember?
Guys are weird. That's right.
The face
about
of the league.
Media, yeah.
Yeah, you taking shots at Stephen A. We know that. We get it. I get it. Stephen A is an easy target. But LeBron James, man, just calm down. Just calm down. Relax. We criticized you. Every player in the league in any professional performance gets
Kobe
criticized.
got it. Jordan
You
got
know what I'm
it.
saying? Like, let your son get them licks. You feel me? He's doing great in the G League, at least from the highlights that I've seen.
And again, where did you say he's doing great?
In the G League.
And there's no shame in that. It is there for a reason. And I just think that doing things like this only serve to put Bronny in the wrong spotlight. in the spotlight LeBron wants to avoid him being in.
I also say this with Stephen A. He did look a little shook.
He did.
I think, once again, he was blindsided. Like you said, he didn't expect that coming from LeBron. But I think if it was any platform, if it was First Take, because Stephen A. is, I think, invited LeBron several times to, like, let's discuss things. I think that conversation, that back and forth would have been a little bit different.
It would have been. Stephen A. said he was at the game with, like, Emmanuel Ari and a couple of other people. So some high-profile people that all heard the confrontation. Stephen A.'s words, not mine. So we'll see what develops from this, if there's a statement or anything, or if we just move on. When we come forward, we're going to get into Gabrielle Union's change of heart regarding 50-50 in a marriage and why she said she initially feels like she put that out there. And I have to say, I understand, and I think you will too. All that and more on the other side. You're locked in with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580. News, traffic, and sports. Next.
We don't need nobody, yeah. Just me and you. Just the two. Don't worry about this, don't worry about it, don't worry about anything. Just me and you.
You're in the know with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Amber Payton with 4 things you should know with BIN News. The measles outbreak in Texas and New Mexico has surpassed 200 cases, the largest in Texas in 30 years. Centered in Gaines County, it has caused 23 hospitalizations and 1 child's death, disproportionately affecting the black community due to lower vaccination rates. Hamas says it's ready for direct talks with the U.S., but accuses President Trump of blatant double standards. A senior Hamas figure claims peace in Gaza depends on an agreement with them, while Israel refuses direct talks since the October 7, 2023 attack. Springfield, Massachusetts Spring of Hope Church is joining a 40-day Target boycott over its decision to end DEI efforts. Bishop Talbot Swan says black consumers must use their economic power to demand accountability. And this week in 1857, the U.S. Supreme Court's Dred Scott ruling declared black Americans were not full citizens. The case stemmed from an escaped slave suing for his freedom. Get BIN News on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Slow moving along the 210 eastbound in Pasadena, delays from Fair Oaks and stretches to Foothill Boulevard, and slowing ahead in Upland from Baseline and stretches towards Waterman Avenue in San Bernardino. Tough along the 15 northbound. This is getting away from Sierra. Delays taking you ahead all the way to the 138. And we're also checking out the drive on the 10 eastbound in Pomona. Delays from the 57 freeway in stretches all the way into Calamasa. The drive in Irvine's crowding up 405 northbound in stretches from the 133 freeway. Delays all the way to Long Beach Boulevard in Long Beach.
Right now, there are young people across the world facing a tough choice. Continue their dream of education or drop out to help their family put food on the table. You can help change their future in a single moment. See how far your support can go at unbound.org.
Is this the time? This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The USC women's basketball team, ranked number 2 in the nation, had a tough time with Indiana today in their first game in the Big Ten Conference Tournament. USC held on for an 84-79 win in the quarterfinals in Indianapolis. Compton product Juju Watkins led the Trojans with 31 points, 10 rebounds, and 3 steals. The Trojans, the number 1 seed in the tournament, advance to the semifinals tomorrow. They will meet the winner of today's Maryland-Michigan game tomorrow at noon Pacific time. UCLA, the number 2 seed in the tournament, plays their quarterfinal game later today against Nebraska. The Clippers are back in action tonight against the New York Knicks at the Intuit Dome in Inglewood. The Knicks could be a weary team after losing in overtime last night to the Lakers. The Knicks also won't have all-star guard Jalen Brunson, who went down with a serious ankle injury last night. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
There's new reaction following the Trump administration's sweeping efforts to cut the federal workforce.
Fired but not forgotten. The Testimony Project. Bearing witness, breaking silence, building community. KBLA Talk 1580 is committed to amplifying the voices of black federal workers impacted by the mass firings, rooted in the black tradition of testimony This initiative ensures that those who served us are not erased from history. Through firsthand accounts, investigative storytelling, and community-driven dialogue, we intend to expose injustice, preserve truth, and demand accountability. If you or someone you know has been forced out of federal employment due to the mass firings, please contact us at info@smileyAudiomedia.com or via the open mic feature on the KBLA 1580 app. We want to hear from you and share your story. KBLA Talk 1580, we've got your black.
I feel so alone.
I'm embarrassed to talk about it.
How can I help my kid if I can't help myself?
I can't remember when I wasn't stressed.
I don't like stress.
Inside.
When you feel overwhelmed by your thoughts and emotions, it's okay to get help. You are not alone. CalHope is here for you with free, safe, and confidential mental health resources for youth, young adults, families, and you. Find support now at calhope.org.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. The Autopsy Initiative provides a second autopsy free of charge for victims' families who have lost their loved ones due to a police-related death. The services offered through the initiative include the completion of a second autopsy, disclosure of preliminary findings, and a final autopsy report. A police-related death is when an individual is harmed by police officers using deadly force, which results in an individual's death. Police-related death includes in-custody deaths, including those that arise during contact with law enforcement officers during arrest, pursuit, booking, transport, or incarceration. The Autopsy Initiative has a team of board-certified pathologists on call. An autopsy request may be completed by anyone with a close relationship with the victim, which may include the victim's spouse, partner, relative, close friend, or lawyer. To request a free second autopsy for a victim of police violence, please visit knowyourrightscamp.com. That's knowyourrightscamp.com. Then click on Autopsy, then click on Request. At KBLA, we believe in justice for victims of police violence. We say their names, and we don't black down. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. You're listening to Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
Yeah. I'm working on dying. I'm upset. 50,000 on my head is disrespect. So offended that I had to double check. I'ma always take the money over. That's why they need me out the way, what you expect. Got a lot of blood and it's cold. They keep trying to get me for my soul. Thankful for the women that I know.
80. You're locked in
Can't
with
go
Jill Munroe.
50-50 with no.
And we're giving you your entertainment news update. So, before we move off of Stephen A. and LeBron, I just want to let you know also, Stephen A. can dry his tears with his new $100 million contract, 5 years. That means he'll remain on First Take in your homes in the morning for the next 5 years. But he is planning on scaling back slightly on some of his other ESPN duties. Because, you know, you see Stephen A. morning to night on ESPN, every show, every topic. You know, what ESPN is showing wiffle ball, Stephen A. is right there on the sideline reporting. So congrats to him and that $100 million. He's making league money. I mean, what can they say? Same pay grade. All right, really quickly. Diddy's lawyers are clapping back at a new lawsuit that has been thrown at him. There are new details that are alleging that he mistreated employees at Bad Boy Records and his other holdings. The superseding indictment, right, because this is being added to the original one, paints a picture of extreme workplace conditions, late hours, no sleep, and some wild allegations about staff involvement in his famous or infamous, depending upon how you look at that, freak-offs. So it was a new 15-page indictment. It expands on previous abuse allegations, and former employees are claiming that they were forced into compromising situations. So the details on the alleged staff responsibilities, from hotel arrangements to post-party cleanups, are included in the indictment, but Diddy's lawyers still insist that he'll prove his innocence in court. And as I mentioned earlier, that trial date is set to start May 5th. Now, let's get into Gabrielle Union. She famously said that she was going 50-50 with everything in her marriage. She said part of that was because she had family to support, so did he. It was complicated, all of these things. But she is waving goodbye to the 50-50 lifestyle, and she is saying that it was a trauma response that she no longer needs. Our good sis said that Dwayne Wade has got her back. He's holding her down, period. So let's unpack this shift and what it says about their relationship. Let's hear what Gabby had to say.
Famously said 50-50 or bust, right? And I meant that financially, spiritually, emotionally. And there's just a lot of days that I have 10% and I need him to be 90. There's days I don't have and I need him to be 100. It's a trauma response. And 50-50 is, I'm not going to be vulnerable enough to trust you with 100% of anything, not my heart, not my cash. And when I started to really address that, and I was like, do you want to pay whole mortgage? I thought I was about to die. I had such anxiety. Like, I was crying, I was shaking. And he was like, you insisted on that. He's like, I thought it made you feel better. I'm like, it did. And right now I want to take it back. Now it sounds crazy to be like, you, Mr. NBA superstar who made a bazillion more amount of money than I do, can pay the mortgage, because I hate the feeling of releasing that to someone. And you release that to someone, chaos can happen. And it's brought us closer because he knows it's not about whether he can afford it. It's being vulnerable enough to be open enough to know that I'm okay. I'm okay as his wife. He's okay as my husband. I'm okay in this family. I'm okay in this home. I deserve it. And so I'm trying to expand my heart, expand all of the notions of what vulnerability can look like.
As you heal, as you evolve, as you lean more into vulnerability, you can also change how you feel about something, and it's okay. Sometimes when we build those walls up for safety or to keep what we think is harm out, we can also keep love out too.
So I think that it's important to note that this is something probably a lot of successful women have to deal with. The fear of, part of it is control, you got to ease up on that. But also that they'll be placed in a vulnerable position so that if it comes down to it, they are left without anything or left in a twist where, they're out in the cold and the man has moved on and like, I built this. So I understand her saying it's a trauma response. She went through a lot of things in her first marriage. She talked about in her book how she doesn't want to be controlled by anyone. And she mentioned how her father was controlling, how one of the things that made her stop her parents from supporting her when she was in college is that she came home to her apartment and her parents had rearranged her furniture. And she was so livid that they had the audacity to do that. She was like, no more. Nobody's going to be allowed to disrupt my space in that way. And I think, Gabrielle being divorced, dealing with some of the things that she did in her past, and with that divorce, Dwayne Wade also coming from divorce, I think that, it's naturally things that couples have to go through and have to work through, because it's hard sometimes. It's a constant evolving state as far as marriage and trust and growth and all of those things. Shout out to Damon Haley. Damon Haley says, rich folks' problems. She has a strong will and personality. Vulnerability is a thing. She needs to let go. If my partner made me 10 times more than me, I would be cool. And I think that's what she's learning in the process. I think that is something that she, mentioned as therapy and something she had to get her through. Morris Phillips says, one day LeBron will apologize to Stephen A. and both of them will laugh about it. I think so. I hope so as well. I would love to see it. And he says, I am sorry, but baby girl sounds like too much work. You talking about Gabby? I mean, listen, sometimes work can be fun. It's all in what works for you. You know, it's like finding the right matchup, the right proposition. Okay, so it's Friday and you know, it's interview day. So we got some interviews coming up from my other job with EURweb.com. You already know Raising Kanan keeps us on the edge of our seats every season. And tonight kicks off season 4. So I sat down and had a conversation with the cast to talk about what's coming next. And trust me, this season is full of twists, turns, and of course, power moves. So you're going to get conversation with Patina Miller. Of course, she plays Raquel Thomas, the head of the Thomas Enterprise. Also talked with Joey Bad A. He plays Unique. And Unique at the season finale last year had a twist for us because we thought Unique was dead and gone, but he's back. So he talks about that. And we're going to get into conversation with Tony Danza. Yep, old school Tony Danza from Taxi and Who's the Boss. He plays Stefano, and he is a mafia contact, and he and Marvin, which is portrayed by London Brown, are linking up in an alliance this season. So they're going to break all of that down. Character development, storylines, all of that and more. So stick and stay, get into it. And other than that, I hope you enjoy your weekend. Thanks for rocking with us, y'all.
Your ride with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
I found out that one of my players was vaping. I brought him in and asked him, where did this stuff come from? He said, it's bigger than you think, coach. He had told me that almost everybody in my team was vaping. The next day, all the parents came in, and I said, hey, you as parents need to do your part. You guys need to figure out how, why, and when this stuff is happening, and we got to get it fixed.
Coach Sanchez and his team took vaping head-on. Learn how he and other Californians are beating big tobacco at undo.org.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm. If you own a timeshare, don't miss this public service announcement from Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group.
If you receive an unsolicited phone call or mail piece to discuss selling, renting, or especially canceling your timeshare, don't fall for it. If you really want out of your timeshare, hang the phone up immediately or throw that mail piece in the trash and contact your timeshare resort or Wesley Financial Group for assistance with your timeshare. As the only Inc. 500 timeshare cancellation company, our knowledge, experience, and results has made Wesley a trusted resource for over 40,000 families we've helped get out of their timeshare. Give us a call and I'll send you our timeshare exit information kit free with the straight facts about your timeshare and all of your options for cancellation.
Call for your free info kit, 800-511-2112. That's 800-511-2112. 800-511-2112.
KBLA Talk 1580.
We've got a lot to talk about. KBLA Talk 1580 reminds you that we keep us safe. The Live Your Life organization mentors young women, helping them break negative mindsets and see beyond their surroundings. Through career exposure and hands-on training, they're encouraged to think big, stay focused, and make positive choices. Founded by Nikisha Mama Boo Smith, who transformed her life to become a community leader. Live Your Life is changing lives, but they need your help. They're raising funds to keep their new building open and expand their program. Your donations will support food, clothes, hygiene products, and holiday giveaways. Visit liveyourlife32.com. That's LIVEYOLIFE32.com to help today. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Unapologetically provocative.
Unapologetically bold.
Unapologetically erotic. Unapologetically progressive.
We've got you covered.
This is LA's new home for Smart Dialogue. KBLA Talk 1580.
Hey there, Los Angeles. This is James Lucky Jr., publisher and editor of Los Angeles News Observer. Are you hungry for news that matters to you in the African-American communities of Los Angeles? Well, buckle up, because we got the scoop you've been craving. Stay in the know and never miss a beat with our free weekly publications conveniently available near you. Or hop on the digital wave and become an exclusive subscriber at OGNSC.com. Don't forget to join the party on Instagram and Twitter at OGNSCINC for behind-the-scenes access and sizzling updates. No more FOMO. Let's stay informed, connected, and empowered together.
Now back to more entertainment news with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
So in season 4, you know, we've seen Rock be vulnerable. We've seen her be ruthless. Where do you think her biggest blind spot is coming from this season?
I think her blind spot really is just the big thing of the season is thinking that, she's very focused on building her business up again, building it, starting over in a way that, why would she ever think that Unique is still alive, right? And like what that might represent for her. I think she, this season, is just navigating a different world, and she's just so, because the family is so, everybody's doing their own thing, really, she's kind of alone, and she has to focus on the things that she wants to do. And so I think the only blind spot right now is the idea that Unique is alive, and what's that going to mean for her?
So for Rock and Kanan this season, we've seen their relationship go through a lot of things. But this season, he's more of a business partner to her. Do you think that she will ever be able to let go and let him have his own reign? Or is she always going to have a hand controlling what happens with him?
I think like for her, for when I'm thinking of like Rock and what her whole thing is that, Kanan is still young, he doesn't know the business quite like how she knows the business. So a lot of the things, him being her business partner, I think is just another way for her to be connected to him in some way. She knows that they can never have that mother-son relationship that they had before, but if she just needs him in her life in some way, and so if she can build him up in this way of being equals, like she's willing to do anything to keep him in her orbit, and at this point, she's not picky with how it presents itself. She can't make him stay home anymore. Yeah, she's, he's a man now, and he's had to grow up really fast. And so for her, I don't think it's about controlling him, but it's about making sure he is smart and making sure he has the necessary tools, because Rock is really good at what she does. And Kanan is not yet, like he's working off of emotions, and she's just trying to set him up for success is what I feel that it is. And, family don't ever listen though. So, they can learn it from somebody else. Somebody can be right in the room with them who can teach it to them. But, you know how it is. So I think she will always try to be in his life in some way. And it does look like controlling. But for her, it doesn't look like she wants control. She just wants to make sure that he's safe. And it comes out of love. It's from love.
So last question and wrapping up. Does she consider Stefano a friend or a foe?
Oh, I think she is, I don't think Rock has many friends. And using that word is for Rock, that's a big thing. He's definitely not a foe, but I think she definitely is, she's not stupid. So she knows where she needs to be with all of the people in her life. I think her and Stefano are friendly, but she knows that she can't trust anyone.
Thank you. So comeback of the year. We are ready to see Unique back. What is his mindset like? Because Unique has always played the long game. He's been able to get inside his opponent's heads, but this is a different situation and a different approach altogether. So what are we going to see from him as far as mind state and his moves?
Yeah, I think this season it's a lot of vengeance and it's a lot of unpredictability. I mean, he's suffering from some type of brain injury, some type of brain damage, and it's definitely taking a toll on his ability to think clearly and to put things into perspective. And, his emotions, his thoughts, his memories are all scrambled, and they kind of got him in a blender, and he's spiraling. He's crashing out. It's the best way I could put it.
So obviously Unique has been one of the most stylish characters in the Power universe, but he's coming back from something else. So how does his look portray what he's feeling internally?
Oh, yeah. I think, right now it is fully about blood. It's fully about blood and vengeance. Like I said, he doesn't even have the capacity to think straight, let alone put an outfit together. It's the last thing that he's thinking about. You know what I mean? So I think right now his focus is, revenge on the people who he think has wronged him. and also getting back to a certain level of success that he was at.
What does success look like for Unique in season 4? What are the elements that compromise?
Well, we know owning the blocks and the corners, and just being in charge, running whatever section of the city he deemed as his, and having those fits on, putting those threads together, having those that jewelry and the car and the look, and I think that's what it looks like for him.
The power, pardon the pun. So we saw Unique and Rock developing a close relationship, and we know obviously he's scrambled, as you mentioned, this season. Do you think that somewhere in there he still has a heart, a love for Rock, and not just a revenge?
I absolutely do think so, and I think that's where a lot of his hurt comes from. I think, just through the scrambling of his thoughts, he's somewhat convinced himself that she used him, to get him out the way, or to get to rock him to sleep, basically, just so she could eliminate him. And I think that he is deeply hurt by that thought, by that idea, and that has him wanting to crash and burn it all.
Is there anybody you think Unique feels like he can trust in these moments?
Right now, just early Tyler, which is, whom is taking care of him and who's kind of like allowing him to be a ghost. I think that's the only person he has at the moment.
So last question and wrapping up. Aside from being a ghost, what does Unique have over Rock and Kanan in this moment that will allow him to be the top?
What does he have? He has a motive. He right now, there's no telling him what he believes isn't true. And, that motive is that he was betrayed and, everybody conspired against him. And that is simply going to fuel all of his actions.
So we see a budding alliance forming with these two. And Stefano's world obviously operates under a different set of rules. Are they coming together as true alliance, or is it a bit of manipulation on both parts?
You want to go first?
No, you got it.
Well, I think he likes Marvin a lot. I think it's like a little bit of a father look thing to it, So there's a lot of levels going on is what happens. And is it a master manipulation in the end? I guess so. But like I say, there's a few other levels to it.
London, what about for Marvin?
I think Marvin would like to believe in this new kinship that's going on. More so just trying to escape being under Rock's shadow. So if this is the first, reliable resource that he can get from up under Rock, then Marvin is willing to gamble that.
So for Marvin, we've seen him sort of on a redemptive arc these past couple of seasons. Is this new relationship going to make him backslide, or is he still okay? Nah.
I don't know if he's backsliding. I think Marvin has always been himself. He just had a couple things to work out. So when he went to therapy, I don't want to say that it removed to whom he was. It just slowed him down to consider other ways of going about things. But the relationship with Stefano, I just think that it's not the relationship with Stefano, I think, that causes Marvin to respond the way that he does, but rather in season 3, caller, him being crossed.
Go ahead.
So for you, Tony, Stefano, as we said, he comes from a world with a different set of rules. Is part of this him changing sort of his approach to the game and how the landscape is changing and adapting?
I think that he's smart enough to realize that he's dealing with something different with this. With Marvin, with Rock, with the whole organization. So I think he's he goes with the flow. I mean, he goes with the flow. You're right. There's certain rules and regulations that he lives by, but I think he goes by he goes with the flow.
What blind spots does he have?
Well, sometimes he thinks he knows more than he knows. That's a good one.
Right. So, in wrapping up, London, for Marvin, what is his mindset for season 4? We know where he was, but, Juke is off doing her thing. You said he's trying to establish his independence away from Rock. What is his mindset?
I think his mindset is by any means necessary. Now, is that the best approach? Again, I think in Marvin's mind, it is, but that's how these are the things that put Marvin, that reset Marvin, because in Marvin's mind, these things actually make sense. And so, because sometimes Marvin can't see past his own nose, but we'll see.
I'm looking forward to see how this relationship develops. Thank you both so much for your time.
Thank you.
My mindset is, I think I'm hot for Rock. I think Stefano's hot for Rock, yeah.
I would like to see it. Thank you both.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Amber Payton with 4 things you should know with BIN News. The measles outbreak in Texas and New Mexico has surpassed 200 cases, the largest in Texas in 30 years. Centered in Gaines County, it has caused 23 hospitalizations and 1 child's death, disproportionately affecting the Black community due to lower vaccination rates. Hamas says it's ready for direct talks with the U.S., but accuses President Trump of blatant double standards. A senior Hamas figure claims peace in Gaza depends on an agreement with them, while Israel refuses direct talks since the October